Patience involves waiting for a better opportunity despite wanting a result to come sooner. Let's take an analogy from basketball, where you have a team that tries to score as fast as possible, even if it means shooting while being tightly guarded by individual defenders. Now, that would be a disaster because shooting percentages drop dramatically when players are contested. So instead of rushing to score, the team should use a 24-second shot clock period to cut, screen, and pass to create a high percentage layup or get another player wide open. Before continuing, I want to clarify the common misinterpretation of patience. The team's goal is not to use all 24 seconds. The goal is to get a high percentage shot, and that could occur either 2 seconds or 20 seconds into the possession. In fact, passing up a good opportunity 5 seconds into the possession, thinking there's a better opportunity later, is a mistake. Likewise, tennis players sometimes associate patience with extending the rally or playing passively. This is not the case. Patience gives you a chance to create opportunities that weren't present at the start of the rally and allows you to explore several options before pulling the trigger. Nobody knows for sure when the absolute best opportunity will present itself because there's randomness involved. Averaged out, though, patience allows the player to choose from a better set of options over a worse set of options, giving you use reasonable judgment. Sometimes you should attack the second ball of the rally, sometimes the 27th, and sometimes never if your opponent is taking unsustainable risk or there's no opportunity for you to attack. Patience also operates from a framework of, quote, playing within yourself, unquote. In other words, being aware of your limitations to not hit every forehand 100 miles an hour. The underlying principle stems from a spectrum where risk has diminishing marginal returns. For example, hitting to the corners is good, but there's a point where aiming closer and closer at the line increases risk disproportionately to reward. On the other end of the spectrum, taking zero risk has diminishing marginal returns. Consistency is good, but there's a point where hitting higher and higher percentage shots reduces the pressure on your opponent, thus decreasing reward disproportionately to decreasing risk. It's a delicate balance of managing risk and reward where patience comes into play. Much like tennis, blackjack involves managing risk and probability relative to that of your opponent. Blackjack is a gambling card game where the player with the highest score wins that hand, but if that score exceeds 21, the player automatically loses that hand. You want to score higher than your opponent or pressure them to risk exceeding 21 without exceeding 21 yourself. For that reason, you might not draw an additional card at 19, but you might draw on 13 to get closer to 21. It's irrelevant whether you win with a high score or low score, just like in tennis, how an unforced error counts the same as hitting the most miraculous winner. Therefore, this requires being keenly aware of your upper limits. Similar to the discipline section, playing within yourself is part of playing at your highest level and forcing your opponent to come up with something better. You never want to repeatedly exceed the 21 limit with your opponent bluffing and never having to show their cards. Patience is so important because I see players putting themselves in good positions to win and shooting themselves in the foot by going for too much. Instead of a shot with 50% chance of going in that has a 100% chance of winning the point, choose a shot with 80% chance of going in that has an 80% chance of winning the point. It makes sense mathematically, but players sabotage themselves with these horrible probabilities. Thus, your level of patience will heavily influence your shot selection, but I will repeat just to be clear, you must find the right balance. Shots with 100% safety hurt your ability to apply pressure, but taking unwarranted risk is like committing suicide on the tennis court without your opponent lifting a finger. The biggest takeaway with patience, though, should be the shift in mentality. You're playing with a margin of safety that benefits you while avoiding risks that benefit your opponent. An example of shifting your mindset. If you're aiming close to the lines because that's something you're comfortable with, you're pressuring your opponent. If you're aiming close to the lines because your opponent is quick, you're no longer pressuring your opponent. Your opponent is pressuring you. To summarize in one line, hit the highest quality shot that you can make consistently. No more, no less. Lastly, why is patience so hard when it seems so logical and even mathematical? Implementing patience boils down to managing your emotions. When tensions are high and the match is tight, it's hard to stay calm, sane, and rational. The recommendation would be to focus on enjoying the process of playing each point instead of trying to force an outcome faster than it should happen. Whether you're an offensive or defensive player, if you're feeling any emotional urge to force an outcome instead of focusing on your tennis and allowing the outcome to result naturally, you're experiencing impatience. Thanks for tuning in. This was the patience section, one of the most important sort of pillars of mental aspects. I feel like this is a concept that is easily confused with being only a grinder, but whether you're an offensive, defensive player, just to reiterate, this is something that everyone needs to be successful. So if you enjoyed the content here, please get the corresponding book. This is something you'll take away with you forever and have it forever, along with liking this video and hitting the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Thanks so much again for tuning in, and see you in the next audio.